The man suddenly realized their boat wasn't sailing on the open sea but floating above a submerged city. Beneath them stood a skyscraper dozens of stories high, its rooftop just below the surface. He looked around in horror. The once bustling metropolis was now reduced to a few of the tallest buildings poking out of the water like isolated islands. Everything else had sunk into the fathomless depths below. What could have happened to this city? What kind of disaster could wipe out a civilization of steel and concrete overnight? What terrifying force could tear the very earth apart, leaving humanity with only a few ropes strung into makeshift suspension bridges as their sole escape? And what kind of apocalypse could send tidal waves dozens of meters high, swallowing all life along the coast in an instant? The origin of this catastrophe dates back 5 years. Two comets, like sides of death, tore through the earth. The terrifying impacts instantly ignited over half the planet, shockwaves sweeping across every inch of land like a final judgment. Within hours, 80% of the world's population vanished. 5 years later, Earth still hadn't recovered. Countless comet fragments continued to orbit like ticking time bombs, ready to crash down without warning. Survivors tried to rebuild, but they soon realized this ravaged world offered no second chances. Pervasive radiation could kill an adult in 3 minutes. Yet, strangely, some places were said to remain miraculously green, as if the disaster had never touched them. Finding those uncontaminated sanctuaries became humanity's only hope. John and his family barely survived in an underground bunker with others, but the outside world was deteriorating, frequent earthquakes, volcanoes ready to erupt. Everyone knew the bunker wouldn't hold much longer. They had to find an escape route, and fast. One day, John put on his protective suit and ventured into the wasteland again. After crossing a stretch of beach, a coastline suddenly came into view. Over the radio, John excitedly told his companions he'd found several lifeboats on the shore and, further out, a rust-covered destroyer floating silently on the water. John slipped through a breach in the hull and searched the entire ship. No supplies, no survivors, only a few long carbonized corpses. Just as he was about to leave, he found a purple flower tucked inside a ship's log. 5 years, John hadn't seen a flower in 5 years. His wife would love it. Suddenly, his headset crackled with urgent warnings. A radiation storm would hit in 1 minute. John dashed out of the destroyer and looked back to see a black wall of storm surging toward him, terrifying lightning erupting inside it. Being caught in that would mean certain death. He didn't dare think, just ran for his life, shouting into the radio for his companions to open the bunker hatch early. He could make it before the storm hit. The hatch in the distance began to slowly open, but the storm was already at his heels. Just as he reached the entrance, a bolt of lightning exploded behind him. John leaped forward, throwing himself through the hatch. Once inside, he yelled for them to seal it shut. The hatch closed, the danger passed. After full decontamination, John sat down, gasping for air, the protective suit removed, the close call replaying in his mind. In the bunker's mess hall, John handed the purple flower to his wife, Anna. Her eyes lit up. She'd almost forgotten what flowers looked like after 5 years. Their son, Nathan, watching nearby, suddenly said he wanted to see the outside too. John immediately warned him it was far too dangerous. Nathan fell silent. Anna, part of the bunker's management, attended a meeting about accepting outside survivors. In the conference room, several managers were discussing over monitor screens when suddenly all screens flickered to static. The next second, the entire bunker shook violently. This was no ordinary quake. The crust was tearing apart, ripping a massive fissure right outside the bunker entrance. Alarms blared, panic erupted instantly. Screams and cries filled the air. John grabbed his wife and son, quickly packed a supply bag, and sprinted for the exit. But the main entrance was blocked by a panicked crowd. Fortunately, John knew the layout. He led his family around the crowd toward a back exit, its corridor already collapsing. The three made it out just in time. Outside, chaos reigned. Refugees everywhere, some wearing gas masks, others exposed, all fleeing madly in one direction. The lifeboats by the sea were their only hope. People surged toward the beach like zombies. The first boat was already packed, and worse, more were desperately trying to climb aboard. The boat listed violently, then capsized. John instantly knew this was wrong and pulled his family toward the next boat. Midway, he saw a friend being held underwater by several people fighting for his mask. John and Anna rushed over, shoved the attackers aside, and hauled their choking friend from the water. In the struggle, John's own gas mask was snatched away. No time to chase it. He dragged his friend as they desperately ran for the last boat. They stumbled aboard, barely squeezing in. Before they could steady themselves, shouts came from inside, "Close the hatch, now, or none of us will make it." The crew member at the hatch clenched his teeth and forced it shut. Over half the people outside hadn't made it on. They pounded on the hull, screaming in despair. Just then, Nathan tugged at John's sleeve. John looked back to see a wall of water dozens of meters high surging toward them. Those still on shore completely broke down, screaming as they tried to run back, but it was too late. The colossal wave swallowed everyone on land instantly. The small boat tossed violently in the raging water, spinning end over end. Everyone was thrown about. After several brutal rolls, things finally stabilized. John checked their heading and suggested sailing southeast. If all went well, they could reach London in a week. But a week on the vast ocean, in this cramped, enclosed hull, would be anything but easy. John took out a detector and checked the air quality. Surprisingly, it was good. People dared to remove their masks, breathing in the long-lost fresh air. Yet no one celebrated. Iceland was gone. Ocean currents had shifted. No one knew if they'd ever reach London. All they could do was pray in silence.